So they became free, so that's why they're looking to get some stuff done early.
And what's the tentative date for turning up Burkefield for grinding?
Right now, if it works, we're looking at the end of September.
Okay.
And then it would take 2.5, 3 weeks to get that done, and they would pave that. Reeve Riley has got a couple of windows holding for these 2 paving projects.
That's nice.
Reeve Riley was the paving sub on phase 1 drafting. I've worked with them before. They're a pretty good company. Other questions, comments, tomato throwing?
I've got a couple questions over here. I mean, first off, honestly, I'm sure I'm with a handful of people that are kind of a little frustrated because I know I myself personally had mentioned that we have a lot of traffic on Harbor Avenue, and to hear that apparently we didn't realize it is extremely frustrating because I know myself and at least a couple other residents did make sure to mention that it's a high traffic area. And I have 2 asthmatics in my household that were having a really, really tough time over Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, whatever the holiday was, that we decided to crush all this up and then let it sit and let all that dust come up. And I mean, it was a really, really tough experience. There's a lot of inhaler usage and plus nothing nebulizer. And I mean, these houses aren't meant to be on a dirt road, especially when we're barely 20 feet off of it. And
All 3 of these roads go into that lift station though, so we were gonna pulverize all 3 at the same time, no matter what. It's all gonna get done. It's just the actual digging is gonna be later now when the traffic is less reduced. They're all still gonna get paved at the same time. So Bob Road's gonna be a dirt road for the same amount of time.
are we looking at for a date then? Do we have any actual timeline?
I didn't, you must have snuck in after we started?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the schedule right now, they got the lift station main structure in today. They're gonna be working up Doris for the next 2 days, hopefully get that finished up by the end of Friday. Work up West Dorothy for 2 weeks, so that'd be the week of the 15th and the week of the 22nd. And then the week of the 29th and the week of the 6th, working up Barbara. And if all goes well, then pave all 3 of those roads right after that, probably the 2nd week of October.
Okay, now are we gonna get ample notice, and especially because I also understand that there's gonna be a time period where we're expected to not be able to park in our driveways. I was under the impression that we're gonna have to park up over by Ken's or something like that.
Because Barbara's not a dead end, you should be able to get to your house except for the day they're basically working in front of your house. You should be able to get to it from one end or the other. Dorothy's a different animal because it's a dead end. So we're gonna be working a little closer with those folks. They do have a side-by-side. People, unexpectedly need to get out and their vehicle is trapped that day. Or something, but we're gonna be working with people, trying to get them a few days' notice to make sure if you need to stage your car outside.
And how are you going to do that? Notify us or whatever?
Mostly just going door to door as we get closer and closer. And I've been trying to capture phone numbers from people as we were setting stakes for your locations. So I've got most of your numbers. So if you're not home, we'll try to give you a call and give you a heads up that. And you'll see us coming too. It's, and we'll know better. And as we work east, we should be coming out of the water, so it should speed up a little bit. The first few days coming up Barbara probably slower than the last few days on Barbara. Yes, sir.
Can't they go down Barbara Street maybe more than just once a day? Because Barbara Street's always been for decades it's a high impact area for traffic.
Mhm.
You also have the marinas that are going down that street all day long,
Right.
back and forth. So if you're only gonna water it once, it's not gonna.
We'll have them water as often as it takes to keep it down.
And the other catch is West Dorothy Avenue that you talked about is a dead end. That is the busiest dead end street I've ever seen in my life. And it's pretty good mileage to go down that road too.
Actually, I'd say Oak Glen is probably busier. Dead end.
I don't know, West Dorothy's a real beach.
Oh, you got Devo Beach at the end of Oak Glen, so I'd say that's probably a little bit busier. But it was shorter, so it was only a week of paint.
But anyways, Barbara, I mean, they could use watering 2-3 times a day.
Well, they needed watering last week, you know, there were once or twice they didn't have any, and I apologize for that. We should be in much better position, you know, going forward with the water truck on site.
Can we at least get a slow traffic sign or something, or a speed bump put in? Because unfortunately, people are jerks. I mean, like, I can tell you there's at least one red truck that goes flying through every day about 35, 40 miles an hour.
I see that.
It sounds like everyone else is seeing it too.
I guess we can check with the county and see if they want us to post the speed limit sign or not, or and if so, you know, would the police, you know, control it or not?
Well, if you can catch that person's license plate, let me know.
I would love to, but I can't get out there fast enough.
They're going fast to catch the lights.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, we've got an in here that if we can get the make, model, and a license plate or a few of the numbers, we know some people
It's a red
who,
Dodge Ram 2500 lifted up. And it's
He's on the
probably
island.
within the last 3 to 4
He's on the
years.
island.
okay, hold on, I can only hear one at a time. Red Dodge Ram 2500.
Yep, lifted and roughly 5 years old. Definitely got a good clear coat still.
And then someone said something about the license plate.
He's on the island.
He lives on the island.
Oh, I got it, okay. And you can feel free to call, the police department. They'll make a home visit. They won't hesitate. And I did talk to the road commission this week, as well as Chief Temple and Steve. We are trying to work together. The upside of the ruts, as annoying as they are, is it does tend to slow people down. Annoying as they are, the water truck is here to be used as needed. You know, I don't know if they have a designated water truck driver, but if they have to pull someone that's not working on laying pipe. And I did talk to the road commission, and we can talk to Walton's to see what they have in their traffic plan. The traffic plan is developed and submitted by the contractor, so we can talk to them. The road commission is willing to work with the contractor. They're sensitive to this. Get that license plate, please. I mean, we can put all the obstacles we want in the road. You can't.
Make people do it.
Thank you. We can try. We can try.
What
So,
about some signage? I mean, unfortunately, most people ignore signs.
yep,
For those who might, you know, see that it slow down or.
right.
you know.
Construction zone, anything like that. Again, that's my understanding from the road commission is that is the traffic plan by the contractor, so we can talk to Walton's and see if they want to amend that. Road commission's very receptive to that, so we can certainly talk to them about that.
Well, it's the only sign that says what, it's 25 miles an hour is 510 gas station.
And is that the permanent sign?
It's permanent.
Okay,
So
okay.
that people pass it and they just,
Oh, sure. Yeah, that seems to be a chronic problem this year. We're totally blind to speed sign.
We could possibly talk, I did talk to the chief, at the last meeting or something, I talked. Anyway, he said that he's got that temporary,
Yes,
in front of Randy's house. Yeah, that could be moved to Barber Street and stuff like that. I was more concerned at that time of the peak summer season when people are going by our places with, you know, gusto.
yes.
But, you know, it might be something to consider even like during this time.
right, yeah. So we've ground up the pavement at Witt or before Witt? At Witt?
It's, yeah, it would, yeah.
Just thinking.
Are you talking about the radar sign on South?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought that was permanent.
No, it's temporary, so.
Well,
It's movable.
it's stuck in the ground, but it doesn't look like it's permanently stuck in the ground.
Okay.
But it also doesn't say what the speed limit is, I noticed.
No,
It just tells you how fast you're going, and it doesn't.
No.
We could, they could attach a speed limit sign. I got, in front of our house, I've got several, please slow down and all sorts of things and don't be please anything.
I guess it would be nice to know if whether it be the police would set it or the road commission would set it, can they make it a 15-mile-an-hour
That'd be great,
construction
start like
speed?
that.
But that's, we can ask that, we
Yeah.
certainly can ask.
I try to keep it between 10 and 15 going through there. So,
Or, well,
15 is sufficient, that's what I've dialed down, I'm thinking 15, and then minimal pickup.
right,
Same break up,
Well, there are others, but he just.
No, no, I-
That's the easiest one to recognize. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
right
stands out
beside
as work done.
It's consistently.
it. Yes.
okay. Well, we can make those phone calls tomorrow. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I don't want terminology, so bear with me here, so the part that, you're pulling water out of it.
Mhm.
Okay, and with that is more down doors.
Dorothy,
And it was incredible to see how much water was coming out.
Oh.
It was just.
it's really wet down there.
Yeah, but now that they moved the pipe, it's right rather than dumping it in the canal, behind Birchfield, it's now dumping into the river.
Sturgeon.
Sturgeon River, yeah, on the street.
The stuff, on-
Okay, where I'm going here is a couple times a day, in the last couple of days, we're seeing a lot of silt or something that's not.
yeah, the pumps that were running there are not the dewatering pumps. Those are trash pumps when they were actually, they're just like the ones you would put in a hole full of water in that. So they're not screened quite as well as the dewatering pumps. And that was just, the dewatering stuff wasn't keeping up in order to get that structure in down that deep. We don't have to go that deep for the sewer main going through. We'll be like half that, so we'll only be in a little bit of water.
The contractors, again, I don't know this road, but I'm kind of concerned about quality of water and.
Yeah. There is a little bit of silt coming through with those. We do have an Eagle permit for those though. So,
So it's the right people that know all this stuff.
right, yeah, they just can't do it. We had to get a permit to do that, so. We try to minimize going that way. And we're hoping as we move east away from there, that the dewatering won't be as much of an issue. The stuff on Dorothy is not hooked up yet. They didn't put that in place. What they did, they put a horseshoe around where the lift station is, and they were pumping on that. And then last night they hooked up and they were pushing. They put some up Doris there, so they wanted to try to start drawing Doris down, knowing that we're going to be digging there tomorrow and Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. By putting that extra pipe on that one pump though, it wasn't keeping up at the lift station, so that's why they had to throw a couple of the 2-inch trash pumps in there. And then they took that the other way. They didn't have enough hose to get all the way over to the canal anyway, so.
So are we done with the bank? Like putting those steel balls in?
Yeah,
Shaking.
there'll be a little bit of shaking tomorrow as they pull them out. Yeah, that was mostly just to try and slow the water down, to try and make that area so that instead of all the water coming, it had to come through the cracks. So but you can never make it waterproof. So, but yeah, they'll turn the vibrator on and they'll vibrate those out and pull them out. They'll probably do the couple facing down Doris first tomorrow morning. Because the other thing we had to do, because it's in so much water, the water table right there was about 54 inches down. And then they put those points in the Friday before Labor Day, and they're hoping to draw the water down several feet and then start digging on Tuesday. When they started digging on Tuesday, the water was 65 inches down, so they gained 11 inches. So that was disappointing. I mean, that's a lot. So that's when they drove the sheet pile in to try and slow things down. And it was fighting, trying to get those closed. It was definitely challenging for them, but they got those in. But what they when they're done with Doris, hopefully then they can hook up the pump over on the Dorothy side and start drawing those down over the weekend, and then start digging on there Monday morning. But all of the schedule is subject to the weather. It's subject to how bad the water is or isn't. and other stuff going on, so we're hoping they can kind of keep up with what they've kind of mapped out for us. Got a question, Ann?
Yeah, I have a question about how long it would take to do the performance engineering report for phase 3. Because there seems to be this ongoing sort of communication in Facebook that is not really very accurate, since the board did vote this month in 2022 to move forward with phase 3 funding. And we've already received money for phase 3 that we have, for efficiency reasons, allocated to a portion of it to phase 1 and phase 2 for the infrastructure. But going forward, the funding cycles for money don't look better than they do today. So my concern is that the PRE needs to start so that we can get to a point to apply for additional funding for phase 3.
Well, again, Steve Mann addressed this issue in his email to me, and I had scanned in, I did find a file, and I tried to email you, and I have a bad email for you, so I apologize to you for that. I did find a file of petitions, surveys, and I scanned one with a cover letter and sent it to Steve and gave him, I had also taken some time to find some history and some emails between various parties to educate myself. And asked him for guidance as to, is this the official petition or should I be looking for something different? And he did email back, and if you'll indulge me, he said he would not accept the petitions. They are not dated and do not have a circulator signature, nor are they as robust as a special assessment petition for a sewer project. And he did attach that, which I can share with you. He attached the last draft of the petition, which he prepared for the township back in January of 22. And this is the form that should be used, which he also referenced in an email to Mr. Kramer back in 22. Note that these petitions can be mailed by the petition, or excuse me, note that these petitions can be mailed by the neighborhood coordinator. I think Chirp might have been involved in that, I don't know, maybe I've misspoken. They can be mailed to the residents who might be out of town. Residents can sign the petition and can also sign as the circulator of their own petition. He did guide me to please check whether the sections were accurate or need to be updated. I worked with Steve a little bit this afternoon before tonight's meeting, and they indeed would need to be updated. So we do have some more fresh information.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because those were modeled after the phase 1 and phase 2 petitions.
Well, if they're here, I just haven't found them.
Yeah, well, I have them.
So-
I have them scanned because 67% of the folks in phase 3.
So is it let's get together after this meeting, if there's time, or the next one, or we can meet, to make sure that it's the same petition that was given to me by Steve Mann, so we're all on the same page for
Don't
that.
worry. But my question remains, we've already accepted money for phase 3, guys. We accepted $1 million. It was allocated for phase 3.
Okay, so let's talk about phase 3, because I think there is some confusion about the different phases. So help me out with the terminology, Steve. We just went over this. What we call, go ahead.
The original section was District 1. And then what we're calling phase 1 and phase 2 right now was designated District 2. And they worked up a PER for District 2.
Correct.
And then USDA recommended they split it into a phase 1 and a phase 2. So they took that PER and tweaked it into a phase 1 PER. That was before I came along. And one of the things I worked on was when they said, okay, now do the phase 2 one. I just tweaked the phase 1 to make the language match what was done, what was in phase 1 and what was in phase 2 and that. So we did that. The $1 million, I still don't know who started calling it phase 3. But it was just an additional $1 million. But
It was allocated for the grants written for phase 3.
But phase 3
The House approved it and the Senate.
But there was a District 3, well, it's part of the PER, the one for District 2, that was then split into a phase 1 PER, phase 2 PER. They both referenced a big map that had phase 1, phase 2, then it said a future marine land, it said a future Navinoy.
Right, phase 3.
No, it didn't call them phase 3. That what it called them was future marine land, future Navinoy. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay, all right. But in the breakdown of what is that $1 million gonna be used for, there was a PER for phase 3. But
That was what territory?
it didn't say.
Okay.
It just, but there was a future marine land and a future Navinoy.
Which on our maps are all marked as phase 3.
Yeah, I haven't found one like that. I'm just,
Phase 3.
yeah, I'm just saying that the PER that was for phase 1 and phase 2, nowhere do they mention phase 3 that I can find. They just have the future marine land, future Navinoy. And then that $1 million had, part of the allotment for that was a PER for a phase 3. But I think part of that PER was to help define what phase 3 would be. You know, would it be just marine land, or would it be marine land and Navinoy, or would it be just Navinoy?
It's very well clearly marked on the map, guys, because it was originally phase 3 and phase 4, and then your organization, Aaron, requested that we put it into one phase 3 because it needed to have a certain threshold of households. There are 169 parcels in phase 3 and between phase 3 and phase 4, and so that it would be beneficial to have it all in one. So that's where phase 3 came from.
You know, I recall coming across an email between you and Mike Ridley, and so let me dig that out.
Yeah, that's back on 8:30.
But again,
And he vetted those signatures because the board voted on it on 9/6 that following week's meeting.
but again, I think when some of the confusion kicks in is we with performance in the office consider phase 3 to be the wastewater treatment plant. And so when you say phase 3, I think the plant, which remember, all of that was stripped last year to meet budget. All of that wastewater treatment plant budget was stripped to meet the budget so that we could do phases 1 and 2. And Bob was very clear about that, and that he was working hard to try to garner that additional $1 million congressional earmark so that they could put those back in. And indeed, that is what we're doing. So part of the confusion, at least for me, is that when you say phase 3, my mind goes to the wastewater treatment plant, and then we talk about Navinoy and Apple Blossom and whatnot, and I'm like, wait a minute, I call that phase 4. But in the email that I found last week, doing some research, I can see where that was referenced as 3 and 4.
There's a map with it very clearly marked, and that the wastewater treatment plant was the plant and the infrastructure. Phase 3, in all terminology for the last 4 years for this sewer project, has been Navinoy and Apple Blossom.
Well, I have not yet come across a PER for a phase 3.
No,
I'll keep looking.
That's why we're looking to have that started.
Okay, well, again, in the $1 million congressional earmark in the budget was the cold storage, as we're referring to it, which is the gable end addition, the screen, which has been overdue for 2 years, the telemetry, and I still think there's something else I'm forgetting, Steve. And then the very last item was a PER for phase 3 or phase 4, or whatever you want to call it. You know, the river section. I don't know, we've got to come up with some sort of a unique name so that we're all on the same page. So in that $1 million, which has been confirmed that we will receive, it's ours, it's congressional earmark, it's in there. But to be frank, there's no point in pursuing a PER if we don't get that plant operational.
I agree with that, but there's a long length of time for a PER.
Well, and there's a lot of work to be done, and it's not the township's work. That's also been made very clear by Steve Mann. If we can do this one of 2 ways, we can have it be a constituent-driven initiative, which is very successful. You can have it initiated by the township, which is always less successful. So going out after monies, and there's a procedure, and I'm happy to share that with you. And anyone else who might be interested. Steve provided that guidance as well. And it very clearly lays out, and it's a long process, but yes. And now that we have confirmed that the $1 million earmark is coming, and we just have to agree on a name. So I'm not confused. Because again, when someone says phase 3, I think the building, the treatment plant out
We
there.
used to, every one of these names had a map up on the
that's been suggested, so now I just have to find the right map. I just have to find the right map, yeah.
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Any other? Yes, ma'am.
I have a real quick question. And this is putting the cart way before the horse. And I didn't realize that. Do you guys have any idea what our monthly sewer bill is gonna be?
No,
That's what I thought.
real quick answer. No, we actually, that is an item that will be, I hope, brought up at the October meeting. Yes, so the quick answer is no, and yes, we need to work on that, and that is one of the very first items on the agenda for October. So. Yes, sir.
So when do you plan on doing the marine land area?
Well, maybe someone, Patty, maybe you can tell us how long it took to do the study, and because you worked so closely with Anna, and the financing.
It's a long process. That's why I thought you said it.
Yeah, so this gentleman's question is how long? I can't answer that. I'm
Once you
coming
get
in
that
third
funding,
man in a hockey
It
fight.
takes 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
There was a whole group of us advocating for all 3 phases for several years to get that funding.
Right.
And so I don't see more money coming into the coffers versus less. So in my mind, there's a time frame of like, we gotta get on the bandwagon or else we have the opportunity to lose it. From that infrastructure money that is set aside there.
Because I'm waiting to build on a lot down there. I'm not gonna put money into a septic field till I know for sure the sewer's coming through, and then I wanna do it all in one shot.
So if you're asking me when, I don't know.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work ahead of us. I would hope that you'd be willing to maybe serve on a committee to help move this forward. That's the other thing that we're finding is there's a lot of interest. We need people to help serve. To ask the board to do all of this in addition to everything else that they do day to day is a heavy load. So I know the Murdochs were integral part of the last. Sir, if you would leave your name and phone number. Again, when we need people to put out petitions, and I think some other people in the audience can talk about how successful that campaign was.
I have the map in 73 from Anna's application of that money.
Okay, if you want to email that to
It
me.
is at Navinoy and Avalon.
Okay, so, we need people to help circulate petitions, and there's a 4-page document that explains the process.
Okay.
So, anyway,
Who do I talk to?
you can talk to me. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay around for the township meeting.